I see each morning. I just need me a cup of coffee and damn I'm hungry. Let me slow down, take this exit, gotta hit the office. Gotta calculate some data, gotta make some offers. What's the value, what's the price, and what's the latest move? Who is buying, who is selling, it's just purely business. Got my money making babies, just deliver triplets. Analyzing all these assets, I just pick and choose. Time is money, yeah you bugging, time is time. 24/7, no off time, I chase a quota. Every second of my day is truly by design. You can stack up all that jewelry, I'm about the ocean. I'm talking Teslas, big Benzes and ash clashes, E-clashes and Bitcoin, I stay cashless. If I ain't got it, I will get it, I aim that way. If I ain't got it, I will get it, I aim that way. Used to slip up on the floor, now I'm beach bumming. How they looking at me like I hit my peak or something. I met my demons and I fought them, now we sleeping something. They done took me out the dungeon, said a reaper coming. Think about it, write it down, then I execute it. If they talking 10 or less, I cannot go around them. Pick a go and get it done, I gotta execute them. If they talking 10 or less, I cannot go around them. If they talking 10 or less, I cannot go around them. If they talking 10 or less, I cannot go around them. If they talking 10 or less, I cannot go around them. If they talking 10 or less, I cannot go around them. I had to bring my girl around to see how they feeling. Everybody felt the test, what a feeling. Now I'm hearing that they bums and they hella broke. And I ain't talking about your money, I'm talking about your soul. Yeah, man, back again. Ain't nothing too crazy, man. It is August 20th at 5:08 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, man. It's been a minute since I've been on this live, you know. But all glory be to G.O.D. Ain't none of this possible without the man up above. You dig? Before we get started, how it is that we get started up over here, man, understand that ain't none of this possible. I'm gonna say this multiple times because, you know, I've realized that if you don't do everything with God in mind, it might be a little bit difficult. So, again, all glory be to G.O.D. Ain't none of this possible without the man up above, man. So before we get started, man, one hell of a week, one hell of a time, right? One hell of a year. You know, we are already in August. It's August 20th. And I'm about to just drop 8 months of refined execution or refined revisions based on execution. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, understand that trading is not as hard as you think it is. You know, it's not difficult if you understand certain key concepts. So with that being said, you know, I had created my own indicator. You know, it's called Origin. You know, you can go look up on, you know, this indicator tab, Curated Currency -Origin, and then you will have this indicator pop up, right? And then it just shows you little dots and whatnot. But the most important thing with the indicator is once you see a black dot in the green dot sequence, a black dot followed by a green dot, you know, what that does is just give you your location, right? So if you know nothing about trading and you open up the chart, you know, price is coming down, black dot, green dot, you may just want to pay attention to these prices that you see off to your right. And then, you know, what is the behavior at that price? So black dot, green dot come in, you know, within these two prices, you know, what is the behavior within those prices? So, you know, that's what the indicator really does. And then, you know, it provides, you know, levels, these yellow levels, black levels. They all have their own little meaning, but really a yellow level was a important level where buyers did come in, but then they had got ran through, you know. So that may give you some information. You have a black level, which is a level where buyers came in and it held, you know. So that's just to go over like the two main components of the indicator, the black dot, the green dot, showing you that the buyers are present. And then, you know, you may want to take that leg as well. So black dot, green dot come in, This could be your internal leg. What's happening within this leg? You know, at what levels did price pop off of? So that's just going over the indicator. In confluence with the indicator, you know, I use ranges, right? So this range right here, you know, was a main range, but more recently, you know, we have this range in here, between 585, or it's what is it, 585 and 565, approximately. You know, that's where this main range was at, and this happened on, you know, the 18th, and then it held for 2 days. What I'm looking at is, once we come out of a range, you know, where does it stop at? So boom, stopped at this price right here, and at that price, if you shorted from that price, you had multiple opportunities. Some of it didn't work out. You had multiple opportunities at this price to short, right? Too short, right? Short here. But if not for nothing, you know what I'm saying? What is the behavior at that price? So boom, we come down heavy. You could have took the short, but then what happened when it created a low? Boom, comes down. What happened when we created a low? You know what I'm saying? So ranges, using my, you know, indicator, you feel me, in confluence with, you know, the POC, so the point of control from the previous day. You know, so this is the point of control for the previous day based on volume, right? And then boom, we come down from it. And then, you know, if you just extend it, we had some moves from it to the upside and to the downside based on the point of control. So right here, boom, downside point of control. We didn't get into previous day point of control here. You know, the point of control was down here. As you can see, price gravitated to it. You feel me? Things of that nature. So, you know, location, where are you? Like, where are you on the chart? You know, ranges. You know, what did that black and green dot create? You know, that leg. There's a difference between a workspace and a range. So then this would be like a range based on, you know, black dot, green dot, but then this isn't really a leg. This is just a range. So this isn't a workspace. This is just a range. A workspace is where you get something like this: black dot, green dot come in, have like a little pullback, a little up leg. This is a workspace, so it's not a range. But within this workspace, you have a range. You feel me? So I don't really overlap them two. Like, if I have a workspace, I'm not gonna notate the range. I'm gonna just notate the workspace. And then within this workspace, we have an inventory zone, and then we have a potential woot wop. So there is a certain way that I do look at the market. You feel me? But it's just based on those key concepts, right? Previous day point of control, ranges, workspaces, using my indicator to show me, okay, cool. You know, black dot, green dot popped up on the chart, you know, at this point in time, right? At this point in time. And then it created this thing. So, you know, I may want to pay attention to, if not for nothing, these two prices, that price right there and this price right there, and see the behavior at that price. So right here ain't nothing going on, right? We're ranging out. The market ain't doing nothing. So, you know, those are just the key concepts that I use when I come into this trading market. So, you know, with that being said, man, let's go ahead and take a little break, you know, take a little break, and we'll come back, and then we'll see what we executed, you know, a couple of days ago. A lot of people create problems, and they create problems simply because they just can't sit still. Silence, for some reason, makes a whole lot of people uncomfortable, and when people feel uncomfortable, I notice that they start to, you know, force decisions. They start to force movement just to feel like something is happening. And I caught myself doing that this week within the market. You know, Nasdaq is at all-time highs, but at times, you know, it's choppy, and I was chasing price movement. I was trying to buy, I was trying to sell, because I felt like if I wasn't within the market, that I was gonna miss the big move. And this don't just happen in trading. This happens in life as well. You know, people start to overthink, start to overcompensate, start to overexplain, start to overextend themselves, and, you know, not because something significant is going on, but just simply because they can't sit with themselves for a minute. They can't sit with themselves because it feels uncomfortable. Sometimes the highest level decision is just to understand that your energy isn't needed right now, and not every moment requires action. Understand that not every opportunity needs a response, and that the best move sometimes is just to not move. And here's something that you could take with you today. Before you do what it is that you do, how it is that you do it, ask yourself, am I doing this because it's necessary, or am I doing this simply because I feel uncomfortable? And that question alone will save yourself from creating unnecessary damage. Sometimes discipline isn't about action. Sometimes discipline is about restraint. Same system, different day. This is Curated Currency. You dig, man, just like that. So, back on the chart though, we need to understand that it's not easy, but it's not difficult, right? It's only gonna be difficult if you don't follow key concepts, if you don't have some type of like, not even a strategy, not even none of that. It's more so like you need some type of like equation. So my equation is using my indicator, identifying the range that we are in based on price action. I'm looking at the previous day point of control, which is giving me where majority of the volume is at for the previous day, where majority of the orders were placed at for the previous day. And then I'm seeing, okay, cool, where are we at as far as location? You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, we have a black dot, green dot come in, right? But at this point in time, where are we at? Are we stuck in a range? Are we coming out of a range? Are we on top of a range? Are we towards the bottom of a range? Where are we at? And then what is the potential, right? What is to the left of the chart? So location, origin, previous day point of control, time and price, and that's pretty it. You know what I'm saying? Using that equation, man. So as you know, right now it's 5:18 in the Eastern time zone. I'm about to have a good evening, and then we'll be back for a London session to have a live trading session using these key concepts, right? So before we get into tomorrow, which is tonight, but tomorrow, we will use today's information. So this is today's information, right? You have your main range right here. We had came out of the range. We had created a gap showing you momentum to the downside. The previous day point of control, which is yesterday, is right here at this price, which I didn't write down. It is what it is, but I can see it though. We broke a low, right? Came down, but either way, this is a whole one leg. We have created a gap at a low. You see what I'm saying? Which is this low right here. I need to write that price down. And then we had created a low. A black dot, green dot came in, showing that buyers are present at this price, whatever that price is. We created a high, and then we started to pull back, and then we ended up in a range. But within that range, within this workspace, you have your inventory zone, where the inventory held to the upside. This is a place where I would see if buyers want to reclaim. If we cannot reclaim the zone, then we may look to the downside. If we hold this woo wop, which is just a gap that got disrespected to the downside, so when the gap comes down like this, you want it to be respected. But when it gets disrespected, right, I call it a woo wop. So could this be a woo wop to come test the range high, or to test this high? But this is just information that we will use, right, going into tomorrow's or tonight's London session. One thing that I do know is that London is a little bit slower than New York, so we can just go with the flow tonight. But that is the overview. This is the first broadcast of this whole season. All glory be to God. Hopefully tonight is a good night, and between now and tonight, if you come across this video, what you could do is go into the previous days price action, pull up your volume, and analyze price. Identify your ranges, identify how you analyze a black dot, green dot, and just study price action once it broke a high or a low, right? Once you get a black dot, green dot, black dot, orange dot is potential, black dot, green dot is your confirmation. What happened after the high or low got taken out? Just study that, you know? That's something that you can study between now and London session. So with that being said, man, I'm up out of here. All glory be to G-O-D. And whatever it is that you do, however it is that you do it, just go ahead and place and put God first, man. That's one thing that I could always encourage. Just put God first, and whatever it is that you do, out the way, man. Love y'all. Everybody wants a breakthrough, but no one talks about accumulation. A tree doesn't become a tree, it collects rings. A city doesn't become a skyline, it collects buildings. A reputation don't just appear, it collects decisions. Everything valuable collects. We celebrate the shot that goes in, but ignore the thousands that taught the hand where to finish. That's backwards. Because the make was never the moment, the make was the receipt. The work had already happened. That's why I don't count days no more. I collect evidence. Evidence that I showed up, that I practiced, that I stayed curious. Evidence that I kept my word to myself, because eventually, evidence becomes identity, and identity starts to make those decisions for you. You stop asking, can I do it? Because you've collected too much evidence to think otherwise. So today, don't chase the result. Collect another receipt, one more rep, one more conversation, one more promise, because tomorrow, you won't remember today's score, but you will become the person today's choices were building. Same system, different day. This is Curated Currency.